Yep, looking forward to heading out here tomorrow to North Dakota for obviously a big playoff series there. A little bit of highs and lows from Duluth weekend. Obviously, big win on Friday to keep climbing the standings and have a chance at home ice, and then disappointing Saturday to not get that home ice for the playoffs that we were pushing for. But all in all, that's a good hockey team in Minnesota Duluth, one of the hottest teams in college hockey here in the second half, and to go up there and at least get a split, just shows we're continuing to get better. And if you would have told me at the beginning of the season we'd have a chance in our last game year to be competing for home ice, I've been pretty happy about that. So again, just a good job by our group, continuing to improve. And we're still learning. We still got things we got to keep getting better at. But hey, it's another small step in the right direction.
Tony Boone from the Omaha World Herald. Micah, I guess when you look at the second half of the season, where did you see the most improvements? And I guess what's it say about your group to be able to do what you did here in the second half to put yourself in that position, considering how maybe you felt going into the break?
Yeah, it's always good to reflect a little bit because you get kind of like, I know I was just really down after the game on Saturday and even Sunday. It's just you're so close to getting home ice, and we made a couple mistakes on Saturday that cost us, and so you're kind of down and then but then when you do get a chance to stop feeling sorry for yourself and review the second half of the year in particular, and we were able to go 8-1-1 at Baxter. We were able to have some big sweeps at home here to give ourselves a chance at the conference at home ice advantage, and to really climb. I think we were at 8th place at one time in the league, and to climb out of there and get ourselves competing for 4th and finishing 5th. You could have, if we would have lost both up there, we'd probably be 7th place right now. So again, it's a bit of a roller coaster ride, as you know. Every weekend, I think you say to me, it's a big weekend coming up here, so you're just constantly going through that. But I think our group's learning. We're learning. I think we're still taking 2 steps forward, 1 step back a little bit, where we're making some improvements, and then we have a tendency just to slip up a little bit at key times, and that's where we're challenging the guys this week to get better. We're challenging them. I mean, I think our job as coaches is to challenge them to continually get better. And we talked about yesterday, we kind of want, somebody put it really good, we want execution with maximum effort. I mean, that's their job, to execute with maximum effort on a daily basis. So we still got to continue to build and work, and hopefully clean up a few of those areas where we're just, kind of having mental lapses that are allowing them to capitalize against us. But also remember, we are taking that 1 step forward every week, and I think one thing I'm really impressed with is just we're starting to get some resiliency. Even if we get down on ourselves on the bench or things like that, it's usually we're able to change the channel pretty quickly and get back into the right mindset and stay positive. And I think that's a big thing with the type of teams we're going to face here down the stretch.
Speaking of that, how do you feel like everybody kind of bounced back from this weekend? You kind of have a sense of urgency every week because every week's big, but now there really needs to be one because there's not necessarily tomorrow after this weekend if it doesn't go well.
Yeah, I think it's a tough thing to play that emotional weekend, and then I think there's a natural letdown on Monday a little bit. I thought practice was okay yesterday. Guys were just good to get back out there, get moving a little bit, and then I thought the energy was good though, and even today you can already feel it. I think there's a jump in everybody's step today, and I know I'm excited to practice today and meet with the guys here and continue to get better. So I think there's you got to have that emotional control at this time of year. It's really easy to get really high and it's really easy to get really low, and so you got to have that emotional control that usually elite athletes and elite coaches have that, and really just focus on building. What are we going to do? How are we going to play? What are we going to do better than they're going to do more consistently? So that's what we'll talk about today.
In your previous series with North Dakota, I guess, what do you think worked well for you on the Friday nights that allowed you to come out with wins, put yourselves in positions to win those series, and what didn't go so well on Saturdays that didn't allow you to get that done?
I think first and foremost, they're a good hockey team. You can kind of see that at times during the year. I mean, they just tied the top team in the country twice. You got to be pretty good to do that. And then I think at times when you can maybe get on them early and jump on them, then maybe you have a chance at kind of deflating them a little bit too. So it just depends, without giving too much into our game plan for the weekend here. They're a good hockey team, and so are we. And we're getting better too. So I think it's going to be coming down to executing executing your game plan consistently, believing in yourself to do the right thing over and over again until maybe it pays off. And having extremely good habits and systems against those guys, and not giving them an opportunity to hope things go your way instead of earning things to go your way by how you play the game consistently. So I think that's what's going to come down to for us, and that's what we got to focus on this week. We got to earn that right this week to the way we practice and prepare, and it will be for us on Friday if we put the time in.
Your senior class has talked a lot over the last few years about wanting to do first things for this university and this program. Obviously going to be a part of that as a freshman group. Do you sense that's still about them here at this stage of the game, where you're going into a weekend where you need to win a series from North Dakota for the first time, you need to advance the Frozen Face-Off for the first time?
Absolutely. I think it's, again, I don't like to talk about that stuff too much, but it's, I challenged the seniors yesterday in practice that they should be leading how we practice this week. They should be setting the tone for our communication. They should be setting the tone for our attention to detail, for how we do things, for how you're preparing off the ice, on the ice. And when those guys are doing that, and what's the excuse for anybody else following along? So I think they got to make sure they continue to do that this week, and they've been doing a great job of it all year, and really make sure they're setting the tone for how we want to play there this weekend, starting today. And again, I think I mentioned it last week, at this time of year, people often can get tired and let their habits slip, and just start focusing on the weekend rather than the process that gets you to have success on the weekend. And so that's something we got to make sure that we're keeping our energy up and staying short, and keeping some fuel in the tank, but also making sure we're continuing to get better.
There are things going to go on here over the next week or two that are going to be out of your control. How easy or hard is it to focus on just what you need to do, and do you need to treat this like an elimination weekend where we need to win this, or else we may not be playing anymore?
Yeah, it's hard to do because you get distracted with I don't know if you want to call it social media or whatever, the tweets or the stats that come out about the pairwise and all that stuff. So it's distracting for a little bit until you decide not to deal with it, and then you turn your phone off and you just go to work. I think that's what my mindset is. And it's easy to look at the pairwise and trying to figure out what's going on for there, and someone probably with a higher education than I can figure that stuff out better than I can. So it's just I think you got to turn your phones off. I tell our players that turn your phones off and just focus on how you're getting better, because other than that, you're going to be, you need, as as we've seen, the consistency to win 2 games is very, very difficult, and you have to have everything you can. You have to have extremely good play in the right way 2 nights in a row or 3 nights in a row, whatever the series may take. And if you're worried about other stuff, I think with the makeup of our team, that's not going to be good for us. So we got to make sure we're focusing all our attention on ourselves and how we are preparing to play, and what we're going to do consistently out there.
I know that you don't get a chance to practice this throughout a season, but for coaching staff, is there any difference going into what potentially could be a 3-game series as it would be just to a weekend, or do you treat it the same as what you do, knowing that you may end up having that one more chance to A, win that second game, and B, make whatever kind of changes you would need to make from a Saturday night to a Sunday?
Yep. Yeah, I think the same thing applies to the coaches. We got to get better. We got to challenge ourselves to get better too, and research, not research, but recite those situations in our head too. What happens if we got to go on Sunday? What adjustments can we make? What if they're doing this type of play, or here's some things they're doing really well. What if they start off doing that really well? What adjustments are we making personnel wise? If this guy can't go, what are we doing there? So it's the same breath, I think, and that's one of the things, if I always love the short definition of integrity is your actions match your words. And I think that's a real challenge for the staff too. We're tired too, and you got to make sure that you're doing everything you can to prepare these guys. They deserve it. And so we've done that this week. Last night I spent a couple hours just doing exactly that. What are the different situations that can play out? How do we handle those situations? And then how do we maybe we don't need to bombard our players with that information right now, but if something happens this way or they start playing a certain way, how do we counteract that quickly and have a plan for that? So again, just like the players, we got to get better too, and we got to be prepared, and so that's part of our preparation as well.
Health-wise, how'd you come out of the last series, and do you feel like the fact that you had as many people back as you could have last weekend, is that a positive going into the postseason here?
I think so too. I think both having Pope and Olsen back in the lineup are positives. I don't think they were at 100% last weekend, but hopefully that one weekend under their belts, they get a little more confidence in themselves and get back into that game pace. I thought they both looked good in practice yesterday. So we just got to keep on building there and come up the right line combinations that give us the best chance against those guys.
Coach Terry Leahy from Learfield Maverick Radio. You mentioned you've got a good team, and certainly finishing in fifth place in this conference, that certainly is the case. Do you also feel this team at this point has reached having that great hockey characteristic of being tough to play against?
Yeah, I think that's one of the good things that I think we've done. And, with the injuries we've had, especially in the second half, like you hate to reflect back on it, but Jordan Clare and Mason Morelli would be two big keys to our lineup right now. And then losing Pope and Olsen for a little bit there, I think it shows a lot to the guys that have played and stepped up and contributed more. And we tell our guys at the beginning of the year, and whether they believe you or not, you never start the season how you finish the season. And so if you're out of the lineup early, if you choose and you choose your attitude, if you choose to work hard and choose to get better, you're not only giving yourself an opportunity at success when the time might come, you're helping your team get better as well. And I just talked to Alex Blankenberg, I don't know if you want to call him our third string goalie or whatever, but even the energy and the attitude that he brings to the table, he's making players around him. I say to him, if he's not playing right now, but yet that's how he conducts himself off the ice and in the weight room and during practice, what does anybody else have an excuse to do? And so, and then, you saw a couple other guys do that, and then boom, now they're playing higher roles where, a guy that didn't play in the power play gets a power play look or things like that. So I think, and I think that also makes you more resilient as a player. Now that leads to being tough to play against. Now you're getting an opportunity, you've earned that right. You've built confidence yourself by the way you've prepared and played, and that translates, to building competence, to building belief in yourself, and competence builds confidence, in my opinion, and belief in yourself builds confidence. So I think that's something that I think we got a little bit of sandpaper to our game, and we can have guys that can work and get better and handle different situations, and I think we'll get tested on that this weekend, and I love our team's response, and I think we're going to just continue to get mentally tougher.
And this time of year, is there a backing off of practice time, or do you keep the routine the same, or are you to the point where you could maybe take a little less time on some of the drills and save the boys' legs for these playoffs coming up?
Yeah, as a coach, you never have enough time. I remember as a player, you're like uncle. You don't want to skate anymore. You just want to play games. But as a coach, it's funny. We're still trying to get stuff in. I mean, as much as we've had practice time, just to tweak the systems where they're able to read and react out there and make their own decisions and help that. I mean, we just this morning we did video. We're trying to figure out how do we get this in and how do we get that in, but you don't want to overwhelm the guys. And so that's just a constant battle with that yin and yang of too much information and letting them rest. So definitely, I think one of the most key points at this time is letting them to rest a little bit and leave them wanting more. So end the practices a little bit early, leave them feeling like they got more in the tank so they can contribute out there. And like Tony mentioned, you might be going 3 games. So you got to keep that in mind at the back of your mind as well, where you don't want to maybe have your best skates on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. You want to save something in the tank so it's there for the games that matter the most. So, but our guys have done a good job with their fitness levels, with our strength and conditioning coach and our nutrition and everything like that. So that will pay off for us this weekend.
It's a little different. I mean, obviously, a lot more is at stake now. It's pretty much win or go home at this point, just because they're right behind us in the pairwise. So we just kind of got to go in there and know what we got to do and just kind of take care of business.
Yeah, I think it was definitely a little bit disappointing we didn't get the sweep and clinch home ice, but it is what it is, and it's quick turnarounds. You can't really dwell on the negatives. And North Dakota, definitely a very exciting building to play in, and we've all played there before, and it's something we're gonna have to feed off of the energy of the building.
Obviously, they're a team and a program that's used to these types of situations and have always done well this time of year. Do you guys get confidence on the fact that you put yourselves in the position to sweep them twice this year, knowing that you're going into a series, as you mentioned, Evan, that you kind of know you need to win?
Yeah, I think it's big that we've at least got a split with them both series, so it's really not something. It's not like the past where last year we were going into Western Michigan, which is, in my opinion, a lot harder building to play in. And So I think our confidence is definitely there. I mean, we know we can stick with the top teams in the country, and especially a team like North Dakota, we match up pretty well against them. So we just gotta play our game and not let the history of their team or program or their building kind of get in our heads, and just kind of play the way we can.
Dave, do you feel good about the fact that you guys have had success against this team this year?
Yeah, I think obviously looking at the record, I think we're 2-2 against them. So pretty even matchup, and I think that's kind of reflected by where we finished in the standings, 2, 4, and 5. So it's going to be anyone's weekend this weekend. I think it's going to come down who wants it more, and it might come down to that third game, but we're ready for the challenge.
Yeah, Evan, I know you didn't play the Saturday up there when you guys had the series before, but what do you think, just looking at the big picture from this series this year, what allowed you guys to be so good on Friday nights, and what changed on the Saturdays, if you have an opinion on that?
I think Friday nights, obviously throughout the whole season, has been one of my strengths, and for us personally, we just go in every night and play our hardest. But Friday nights, we kind of seem to have a little bit more of a jump, and that's really benefited us there. But the Saturday night, I think, especially at home, we gave ourselves a really good chance. And I mean, you got to give credit to Cam Johnson that night. He played really well, and he was the difference on that one. So I think looking to this weekend, Friday night, we got to take advantage of how we play and kind of take it like a regular Friday night, and then Saturday night just kind of got to treat it like a Friday night almost and play the same way, and we'll get results.
Yeah, definitely want to keep the positive trend going on Friday nights for sure. I think a big factor in why we haven't been as successful on Saturdays is we're a skating team, and I think that second game there's a lot of fatigue setting in. So I think at this time of the year it's going to come down to more like the mental aspect and how we can push through. Not having our legs or whatever it may be. So it'll be a good weekend for us, and I think we'll be ready.
Saying that, does that change this weekend, knowing that potentially it could be 3? If you feel like maybe you're not having legs in 2, how do you go 3 if it goes to that?
Well, I mean, as a senior especially, it could be my last college games here. So I think just kind of that desperation and that urgency and knowing kind of the situation and what's on the line is definitely going to help.
You guys obviously did really well here in the second half to put yourselves in the spot that you did. If you want to take it just individually, Evan, I know that you weren't happy with how your first half went, and you even said so when you came back from break. What changed for you individually in the second half, and I guess how do you feel like you're playing as you head into this, knowing things did kind of turn for you?
I mean, yeah, obviously the first half was a little less than stellar, but I got to give a lot of credit to coach and Peter Menino, our goalie coach there. They've been kind of behind me all season, helping me out and giving me all the tools I can to succeed. And I think that Christmas break, just kind of getting to reset and kind of relax for a little bit and kind of reflect on how the first half went, really helped me look at the second half as almost a new season, and getting to work with Pete on just little details, and now we're starting to see the results from that. So it's been a really good feel in the second half, and it's given me personally a lot more confidence than I had the first half. And I think more credit to the team too. I mean, they've been playing really well. They've been giving me the confidence by just giving me support throughout the whole season, and it's starting to pay off here in the second half.
David, your season individually, I think the thing that stands out was just the fact that you were able to just keep consistently producing. Or, for your whole class throughout your careers, there's always been, sections of the season where you guys were just dynamite and maybe tailed off a little bit at some point. But for you individually, what was the key to just being able to grind it out week after week after week and continue to be productive and one of the best scorers in this league?
I'm not really sure how to answer that question. I mean, kind of like since I've been playing hockey, I've kind of had the same attitude every day: get up, go to work and try to get better. And I think so that's something that our coaching staff has implemented into us as a team. So, this year, yeah, the puck's going in the net for me, and I've been getting some good opportunities and playing with some great players. So, I can't take all the credit for my own success. And like I said, Coach Gabinet, he has a attitude to get up and work and get better every day. So, that's something I try to do, and I think our team does as well.
One thing that you guys have going into this weekend is the fact that you've been here before. This isn't new. Is it good to have that veteran leadership and veteran experience, guys that have been at every position that have been through this grind before and kind of understand the next level of hockey that you need to play this weekend?
Yeah, I think definitely our class, we went to the Frozen Four our freshman year, and that was a very special experience, and it was a lot of fun. And as a senior, it's something I want to be able to share with the rest of my teammates and have them go through the same thing we did. And like I said, it's kind of do or die for us right now. So it's time for us to really come together as a team and play our best hockey.
What about you for the situations you've been in the postseason?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you look at the first 2 years I've been here, we played one of the top teams in the country, Denver, my first year, and I mean, we took them to double overtime in Game 2, had a chance to push Game 3, and then last year against a good Western Michigan team in Western Michigan, we took it to Game 3 overtime. So I think for me, it's not much of a difference between those series. It's just we have I think, a tighter knit group this year. We have no real weaknesses, and it's just an exciting time, and I mean, who can't love playoffs, right?
Dave, you mentioned more than once the importance of taking that next step and going to St. Paul here in the air in the frozen face-off. Obviously, getting there also helps you extend your season and perhaps play beyond even that weekend if you get through this weekend. Can you kind of explain the importance of that for you in your senior class, just to take that step that you haven't been able to take so far?
Yeah, I think definitely it'd be another accomplishment to add to our careers. The program hasn't gone to a frozen face-off before, and it kind of sounds crazy because it's just the best of 3 weekend to get there, but yet we haven't been able to crack it. So I know there's been a lot of talk about it, and everyone's really excited and they want to get there. So we'll just have to play our best hockey this weekend, and yeah.
I'm Terry Leahy with Learfield Maverick Radio. Evan, how has the confidence that you've had in the second half been related to just getting more confident, comfortable with the defense and the systems in front of you? Have you certainly had a confidence level rise with as well as the defense playing as they've improved from also having a tough start in that first half of the year?
Yeah, it's definitely been big. I mean, if you look at the first half, there's some chances that we wouldn't like to give up, and there's some goals that I wouldn't like to give up. But as a team defensively, we've gotten a lot better. Our forwards have been a lot more committed to getting the puck out on the corner, on the walls there, and our D are keeping guys outside, and forwards are getting in shooting lanes on the points. So it's been a team effort. I mean, I can't take all the credit. It's been a lot more of the team than just me, but they're making it a lot easier, and it's kind of helped my confidence slowly rise, so that when I do get those bigger shots coming in, or times where I need to make that kind of save, it's the confidence is there, and I'm not kind of worried like, I have to make the save. So yeah, it's been a bit of a process getting used to, obviously, from the style of play. I've been behind for 2 years, then coming into a lot more structure, but now that we're in the second half here, kind of getting into it, it's been a nice feeling.
They had a ton of shots attempted, especially Friday night, and a lot of blocked shots with the defense and your forwards in front of you. Does that give a goalie a lift, or do you think, hey, come on, let some of these through so I can see some of these? I don't know where it's going to go if it caroms off of you, but do you get a lift from that generally?
Yeah, I mean, I think, I don't know if they can hear me, but I know when guys block shots, especially on the penalty kill, I'm trying to yell and make sure that they know that I appreciate that, because there was a couple last weekend that more or less probably would have gone in if they didn't block it. And I mean, that gives me a lift, that gives the team a lift. You can hear guys banging their sticks on the bench and cheering for it. So yeah, the shot blocking's been a huge part of our success, especially on the penalty kill as of late.
David, individually, teams are trying to obviously take you away in the Maverick offensive zone on the power play. That played out on Friday night on the 5-on-3. Randy ended up going down low and scoring that goal, and it was obvious that Duluth had flipped the defense a little bit, to have a couple guys higher to cover you. What do you have to do differently with teams, both the even strength and with a man advantage, to get open, to get some time and space?
It's nice to have that challenge. I think it makes me a better player. But like you said, on the 5-on-3, if they're going to be cheating up high, well, then there's going to be guys open around the ice. So it's just a matter of whoever has the puck to recognize kind of how they're playing it, and if there's 2 guys up high, then there's only 1 down low covering 3 guys on a 5-on-3. So I think that's kind of what happened on Randy's goal, and it played out well for us.